Hi everyone, this is Ricky with Bromero Cards. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry it's been so long since I've made a video, but here we go. First, we're going to use the Memory Box Impressions Cloud cover platelet here. We're going to load this up into the Big Shot with the silicone mat so that we could just do an impression. It doesn't cut through. And we're going to put the top plate on that, and then we're going to push it through the Big Shot, which is actually kind of hard. It's not as easy as you would think it would be. But once we're finished with that, I'm just going to show that to you here that it's impressed. And then we're going to move along to the next thing here. So we're going to use the Lawn Fawn Rainbow die. And basically what I'm going to do is take all the colors of the rainbow and cut this out with this die. I'm not going to show you all the colors because that can be, kind of boring. But I'm going to show you the red and orange here. We're going to get through that, and then we're going to get to actually building the rainbow for the card. So we're going to take the die and we're going to stick all the colors that we cut out inside the die. And I did this to make it easier to line up and make sure everything is straight. And then after I get everything into the actual die, I'm going to use some micro pour tape to actually hold all of that together. This just makes it easier to make sure everything's even and able to apply the rainbow once I need it actually for my card. And I'm going to take the tool here and just poke that out, and then there we have the rainbow. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp out all the images. I'm going to be using the Concord Ninth Unicorn stamp and the Clearly Besotted Playful Pups. I'm going to stamp these out with some Simon Says stamp ink, which is an ink that can be used with Copic markers because that's what we're going to be using today. So you're going to see that I actually stamped this out a few times. I was not getting a good impression here, so I decided to go ahead and stamp these down several times. And actually, the unicorn that you're seeing here is not one that I actually use because I made a mistake later on in the video that you'll see. So now we're going to use the Mama Elephant labeled message, and we're just going to stamp out congratulations here. Nothing too crazy. Then we're going to use the Hero Arts Baby Penguin, and the only thing we're going to use is the top hat here. So this is actually a wedding card that someone asked me to make for them, and so this is me making it. And it's actually the second one because the first one got lost in the mail, so I thought I would record this one since I already knew how to make it. We're going to use some Versamark ink here, or VersaFine ink, to make this to stamp this because it makes it a little bit more clear. Then we're going to use the Delicata Silver. And basically what I'm doing here, this is a layered hat, a layered top hat. And I'm using the silver to make the shiny portion of the reflection that's going to be on the hat. Once I get this stamped out, I'm going to dry this with a heat gun. I'm not showing you that whole process, but we'll dry it here, and then what I'm going to do is use some black ink to do the top portion of the hat, and you'll see what I mean here in a second. My head gets in the way, sorry about that, but I needed to make sure this is really lined up so that it doesn't mess up the stamp. So I'm going to, I put that onto the Misty, and I wipe off some of the silver paint that comes onto the stamp. Then we're just going to use some black ink, and I actually stamped this probably 4 or 5 times so that I can get a really dark impression on top of the silver. And as you can see, the silver part under the black shows as the reflection of the hat, as if there was some light shining on it. Now we're going to get into the Copic coloring of the unicorn. I'm using colors N1, N2, N4, and N8 for the actual body of the unicorn. And as I was explaining to you earlier, you're going to see later on in the video where I actually messed up on the Copic coloring. I used an incorrect color and it just wasn't looking right to me. So I actually started over. And this video took me about 1 hour and 38 minutes to make this card. I've put it down to about 13 minutes. So basically I just put the layers down of the N1, did the shading with some N2, and now I'm going in with N4 to do a little more shading here. On the one that you see that I mess up on, I used, I believe, warm grease for it, and I was just not getting the blending that I thought would be good with the card or with what my envision of what the card should look like. So I actually re-stamped it out, and as you can see, it's on the congratulations in the top hat part of the card. So basically, I'm going in and layering all these grays, these neutral grays. And now what I'm doing is putting some spots on the butt and on the mane of the unicorn. I use the colorless blender, and then I'm going in with the different colors that I used to color the unicorn with to make all those little dots. So it puts like some freckles or some spots on the unicorn. So now we're going to go into the colored portion of the mane and the tail. And I'm using colors R27, YR68, Y606, G05, B28, and B79. And basically I'm just going in through these, coloring them, and then blending them through together to make sure they kind of just blend in together. Some of the colors are a little harder than the others, but it actually works. And so I'm just doing the tail the same way with the same colors. And I'm just going to go in and layer some of those and just blend some of them. Now I'm doing the ears. I had forgot to do the ears, so I'm just used the N4 to do that. I did the horn with an N2 and then went in with the colorless blender, and so the unicorn horn is lighter. Here you see the messed up unicorn. You can see that I just was not getting what I needed. And so a lot of my time with this is trying to figure out what colors go with what and what blends, because I'm still pretty new at this whole Copic marker coloring thing. So I use the paper a lot as my palette to see what colors actually go together that I can blend together. With the dog, I'm using E23, E25, and E29. And I'm basically just putting a base layer here. And then I didn't notice until I was editing the video that a lot of this coloring gets cut off on the screen. And I'm sorry about that, but basically I'm just going through the same way I did with the unicorn by doing layers and shading and blending those together. And while I'm, waiting on this to finish and go through, this card was actually lost in the mail. I was so mad because I spent all this time making this card for a person that really needed the card for a wedding card, and it got lost. And it's so much time to make these cards. You guys probably feel my pain when it comes to that, when someone doesn't receive a card that you put a lot of time into. So I'm making the face a little lighter with the colorless blender. And then I'm coloring the collar with the dark brown, and then putting a little B29 for the medallion. Here I'm cutting down the cloud amount, or the cloud paper, to 4 inches by 5 1/4, because I'm going to put this or mat this on some black paper. And as you can see, I don't get it exact the first time, so I need to go back and forth a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes you just need to eyeball the paper. The exact measurements don't work. So I need to make a veil for this unicorn, because the unicorn represents the bride. Excuse me. And I didn't know how to do that. So I actually just took some vellum paper with a pencil and actually drew a veil. I don't know why I thought of this. It was kind of weird. But then what I do is I go ahead and cut the veil out. And I should probably move this along a little faster because this part is boring. It doesn't matter if you get in or out of the lines for the pencil mark, because you can just easily take that off with an eraser once you decide to put this on. And you're going to see that I make sure that it fits here. Oh, I took that out. So I'm putting some sparkle embossing powder on this veil to make it look like a veil. And so basically what I'm doing is just rubbing it along the embossing ink, and then I'm going to pour over the embossing powder with this. And then I'll heat set this. And I actually do a second round of this glitter just to make sure that you're able to see it when light shines on the card. And this really did make a difference for the card. And actually the person I was making the card for said, well, how do I know the unicorn is the bride? And that was a good question. I'm glad she gave that feedback to me, because this is the result. Here you'll see me put the card together like 500 times, trying to get the right amount of space between all the characters and the rainbow. And now you're going to see me put everything on the card, take everything off, put everything on the card, take it off. As a card maker, I'm sure you guys totally understand what I'm doing here. So right now, I actually put some silver sequins along the unicorn's horn and the head, so it looks like the part of the veil that holds it onto the head. And then what I'm going to do is use some glue dots and put the actual veil onto the unicorn. I didn't show the sequin string putting on the horse because it was off camera, so I just went ahead and took it off. We're going to take some foam tape and add that to the rainbow, and we're going to put that up on the card to make it pop out a little bit. We need a little dimension to that. Before I do that, I'm going to put this on the card base, which is 110 pound Nina cardstock, solar white Nina cardstock. And then we're going to go ahead and put the rainbow onto the card. So I have the rainbow on the card. Now it's time for the unicorn. Before that, I'm going to cut out the greeting from the paper here, and then I'm actually going to dip that along into the VersaFine ink so it has black edges. I'll put another glue dot on the veil to keep it holding down to the leg of the unicorn. We're going to put some foam tape onto the unicorn and put that up on the card as well. Haven't permanently placed it on there because I want to make sure everything fits and everything is going to be okay. And then I'm not for sure if you can see, but in the rainbow, I accidentally cut the orange part of the rainbow while it was in the die putting it together. So I actually covered that up with the congratulations. It's a little off center, but not so much that you can't see. So now I'm just putting everything onto the card, getting it together, and the card is complete. Actually, before I do that, I actually put some glossy accents on the medallion of the dog, and then also put glossy accents on the feet or the hooves of the unicorn. I want to thank you guys for liking and subscribing to my page. I'm sorry I haven't had a lot of videos come out lately, but as I told you earlier in another video, I'm actually in school for a master's program, so it's taken a lot of my time. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope to get a new video out to you soon. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it and subscribe to the channel. Bye.